America, my name is Osei-Frimpong. I come to you live every Monday and Thursday. Monday I do a relationship show. Thursday I do a more politics show. Today I'm telling you, yes, you should stay together for the kids. Apparently there is conventional wisdom that tells people that, well, you know, you could stay together in a relationship for sex, you can stay together in a relationship for money, you can stay together in a relationship for a lifestyle, but you know, you really shouldn't stay together in a relationship for the kids. And I'm saying, yes, you should stay together in the relationship just for the kids. Even if everything else is bad, for the kids, that's enough. Because you owe that to the kids. And, I mean, there are going to be a few reasons for why this is the case. But mostly you owe the kids a stable household, and that includes staying together with your partner. That means, you know, even if they do something pretty bad, you work it out for the kids. And that's a perfectly legitimate reason to work it out for the kids. Infidelity, well, you work it out for the kids. You can work, I don't know. You have to understand, once you have kids, everything else is a hobby. Everything else is a hobby. If you don't understand that everything else is a hobby once you have kids, you are not doing what you should be doing for your kids, and your kids are going to get eaten. And it's going to be your fault because you were too busy waiting for yourself, thinking about yourself, eat, praying, and loving for yourself. And you didn't understand that what it is to be yourself includes now your kids. And it's not fair to your kids, and you don't have a sense of duty or a sense of purpose, and you probably shouldn't have had kids if you don't understand it. Well, the thing is, in these United States, most people are bad parents. In these United States, most people are bad parents. Parenting's a skill, and like most skills, you don't come out of the womb, know it. You can't do it naturally. It's a skill. You have to think about it. You have to work for it, and if you think that it's natural, you're probably just not very good at it. And your kids get eaten by my kids, which I don't want that, especially if you're black. I don't want your kids to get eaten by my kids necessarily. So, it's a skill, and like most skills, only there are more people who do it poorly than who do it well. And I'm trying to help people do well every Monday and a little bit on Thursday. And if you appreciate what I'm doing, go ahead and go to www.funkyacademics.com and kick in $5, $15, or $50 a month. And I will tell you, yes, you should stay together for the kids, right? Forget the logistical nightmare of trying to split the kids through different custody and different nights, and the inability to actually raise the everyday habits that are required for kids, like when you're splitting 3 days one place and 3 days the other. You just have to understand that your kid's not going to have a sense of duty, because duty would tell your kids to stay together for the kids, that parents would stay together for the kids. But you're you're modeling the opposite of duty. And so you're going to either raise kids who are trigger shy because they understand that the world is full of mercenaries, or you're going to raise a whole mercenary. Now, and I think this is kind of gendered. I'll be honest. I think single parents raise mercenaries, especially single mothers raise whole mercenaries. You don't have to. It's not a big surprise that Ebony K. Williams didn't grow up with a daddy. Yeah, so if you model not having a sense of duty and not having a sense of purpose outside of your own immediate wants, your kid's going to be a whole mercenary, and they're going to have a hard time sustaining relationships. They're also not going to drive you to your doctor's appointments as you get older and all of these other things, because you model to them that life is about yourself, and yourself is a narrow single self, not the self that includes the family, because you weren't willing to keep the family together for them, especially for like irreconcilable differences. For faults, I can say, like, if there's like real abuse, I could say that like maybe it's okay to separate. But for no fault, irreconcilable differences, you're just modeling to their kids that reason can't solve the problems, and duty doesn't matter, and stability doesn't matter. So they're gonna just send you off. and you can't be surprised. You did it. You modeled that. That's what adulthood is. It's casting off your family relationships, and they're not gonna be there for you. And you can't be surprised because you weren't there for them. You decided that they didn't need the other parent. You decided that they didn't need the other parent. So yes, stay together for the kids. Don't listen to people who say don't stay together for the kids. If you want your kids to not either be trigger shy, which means they don't want to participate in institutions full of mercenaries, or you don't want your kids to be whole mercenaries who just use people because they saw their parent use their other parent until it got inconvenient. Right? So I say, yes, stay together for the kids. Nobody on the internet saying that. Everyone's saying that, like, well, choose yourself, eat, pray, love, and all that. And I'm saying, like, no, no, you work it out and you model for them working it out. And you got to put up with you got to eat a lot of stuff sometimes working it out as people try to work it out. But the kids is a perfectly appropriate reason to keep the whole relationship together. Like I said, once you have kids, everything else that you aspire is a hobby. Your life is about them kids. And if you don't understand that, then you're not ready to have kids. And that's perfectly appropriate. Everything else in your life is a hobby or for the sake of the family. So someone wants to know, are kids an appropriate reason to divorce? No, the appropriate reason to have a hard conversation with your spouse about like what it takes to raise these kids. But I do this show so that you guys have this hard conversation before you actually have kids. And I'm pretty clear about parenting in the United States. Like, we do it badly, mostly because we do a lot of gender things badly. So we have a bad conception of womanhood and motherhood, and then we put those people in charge of our kids, and then we're surprised when our kids are brats. But we have fundamentally unserious culture of parents, and that just creates fundamentally unserious kids, right? So I'm not one of those people who says you got to do what the kids want. No, I don't do what kids want. I tell them what are their options, and why these are their options and not the other things. And from that, we work together on what the kids should do. But I do not think that kids should enjoy immediately things that matter. That's something that's lazy parenting. Anyway, look, and people want to castigate my parenting, but the problem is my kids are dope. I got 3 of them, and they're good at things. But I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, so I could have told you this 15 years ago, but you wouldn't have believed me because you would have said, well, you just don't have kids, you don't know. Now that I actually have kids and my kids are winning, I can tell you that I'm just right, that you need to put more thought into raising your kids than you probably have thought about. And it's not about you. Once you have kids, everything, especially once they turn 2 or whatever, everything else in your life is a hobby. Everything else in your life is a hobby because your life doesn't include you anymore. It includes a stable household for those kids. And the excellences you can only build in a stable household for those kids. Right? And you can't do that with split households because then kids start playing parents against each other. And we're just not serious about how all of this works, right? So unless you want your kids to be mercenaries, unless you want your kids to be either degenerate mercenaries who just use relationships for what they can, for their particular satisfaction, and then cast them off because that's what they saw modeled in their parents, or you want your kids to not actually engage in institutional relationships because they just think that everybody else is just using those relationships, those institutions for their narrow satisfaction, and then we'll cast them off. Then you need to model at home a world that stays together for duty. Love is duty. The idea that we have a notion that you stay together for money, you stay together for lifestyle, you stay together for sex, but you don't stay together for the stability of the kids is ridiculous. That's a perfectly appropriate reason to stay together for the stability of the kids. Maybe, you break it out. You break it off once the kids go to college or whatever, once they're fully formed or more stably formed. But for the most part, if you don't want to raise kids who then, yeah, and this gets a little bit racialized because I see a lot of married white women telling black women to drop their husbands, and I just think that that's not good. That's not good. And this notion that kids respect duty after seeing parents who casually divorce because of feelings, because they couldn't work it out, is ridiculous. You'll have a kid who will understand that reason doesn't work with the world. I did a video on this last week on the stakes. Yeah, the stakes of modeling a world where reason doesn't solve problems, and so you have irreconcilable differences. So you rend the kid's life apart because of irreconcilable differences. No, you work it out. You work it out. And I'm talking about working out. Honestly, I think you can work out a lot of things. I think you can work out physical abuse. I think you can work out cheating. I think you can just work it out. And that's just part of what maturity is, because it's not about you anymore. It's not about you anymore. It's about these kids who are going to have a hard enough time that they deserve a household where they don't have to move 3 days a week or move every other weekend. They deserve a stable household. So work it out. Yes, stay together for the kids. Work out everything else. Just whatever it is, work it out. Or you're just, consigning the kids to kind of a subjective degradation. Forget the objective goods, the extra resources and the extra hands and the division of labor. Forget all that stuff. I'm just talking about you want them living in a world where duty solves problems. Where duty solves problems. Where people actually put aside their immediate satisfaction for the good of something that's other than them. Or, everything else is you smoking 2 packs and then expecting your kid not to smoke. Everything else is a crazy kind of hypocrisy and that fundamentally undermines their willingness to be noble in relationships. Because they see you being mercenary, then they're going to have mercenary, you're not going to be able to talk to them about duty. Because you divorced for irreconcilable differences, which means that you just wanted to get out. Because you thought you could do better. So you're going to raise a mercenary. Or you're going to raise someone who knows that everybody else is a mercenary, which is just as bad, and then be surprised when they fail to flourish. Because, nobody ever told you to stay together for the kids. Stay together for the kids. Or don't be surprised when those kids quit you as you get older, the same way that you quit their parent. You quit your spouse. All right. Thank you for your time. If you appreciate what I'm saying, first of all, you need to watch this with your partner. Send it around to your friends. Text this to your people. And I'm sure you guys have a lot to say. But if you want me to keep saying stuff like this, go ahead and go to www.funkyacademic.com, kick in $5, $15, or $50 a month, and I will keep doing what I'm doing, because not a lot of people are saying this. Because you don't really get paid to say suck it up and stay together with the kids. And I'm saying suck it up, work it out, and stay together for the kids, because it's not that important. Whatever you're fighting over isn't more important than the stability of a stable household for your kids. And if you're thinking about bouncing rather than providing a stable household for your kids, you're probably the immature one. You're just around bad friends who are telling you that you're the mature one who should choose themselves. No, yourself, you're done. It's not about you anymore. It's not about you anymore. It's about what kind of character you want in your child, and how you want them to respond to reason in this world. Right? And also, sleep with people you can stay with. Like, don't get impregnated. Don't impregnate people that you don't want to, like, that you can't handle living with and raising kids with. So thank you for your time. Go to www.funkyacademic.com, kick in, and I will see you on Thursday. And I'm going to talk about the difference between trailblazers and explorers. A lot of people are explorers, but they consider themselves trailblazers. But to be a trailblazer, other people have to come behind you in numbers. And so, like, Ralph Bunche wasn't a trailblazer, he was an explorer. And then you, like, Barack Obama, trailblazer or explorer? No, he goes, and then he comes back and he tells stories, and you go, you explore, you get the booty, the treasure, and then you come back and you spend it all, and you regale people with stories, and you get your memorials, and you get your awards. But that doesn't mean you blazed a trail, like, because nobody else came behind you in any sort of numbers. You didn't build an institution, so. You have boldly gone where few people will go again. You have taken one small step for man and one large step for that same man. You have not blazed a trail because no one goes behind you in numbers. And it can't just be a trickle behind you. If you're really blazing a trail, that means people have to come behind you in, like, squads after. And if you didn't do that, you're not a trailblazer. You're just an explorer. You went back, you saw something, you came back, and now we just tell stories about you going someplace and seeing something. So I'm going to go into that, the difference between trailblazers and explorers, and the kind of metabolism and work that's required to actually blaze a trail to keep all of the nature from overrunning your trail, right? To a little bit of trail maintenance and sustenance and institutional kind of regard, right? So, like, for example, Tommy Curry is going to be a trailblazer, right? Like, he created black male studies. Like, this modern iteration of black male studies, he did it, and then he built an institution around it, and now he's graduating. Like, Tommy Curry's legit trailblazer, right? Like, there are a lot of people who are explorers, but they don't see the difference. So I'm going to go into that on Thursday. But for now, thank you for your time, and I will talk to you on Thursday. Bye.